Welcome to the fastest stop in town. Today we're in the Succah daf Chav Ches. We are going to begin on Chav Ches Amud Aleph, the second line from the top. Tan Rabbi, Masa b'Rebbe Eliezer. We have a story there of Eliezer, Shabbos b'Gilia Elyoin, which we mentioned also. That's where he was on the previous daf. B'Shaluhu Shloishim Halachos b'Hilchos Sukkah, and he was engaged in discussion of 30 different halachos pertaining to Hilchos Sukkah. Shtayim Esrei Omer Lehem Shamati. 12 of them, he said, yes, I heard of this. In other words, I heard it from my Rabbi. Shmoina Asr Omer Lehem Lo Yishmati. 18 I did not hear. Rav Yosef Rabbi Yehuda Omer Chilaf Adavarim was the other way around. Shmoina Asr Omer Lehem Shamati. 18 I did hear. Shtayim Asr Omer Lehem Lo Yishmati. I didn't hear. Omer Lo Kol Devaracha Einon Elo Mepi Hashemua. All of your words is not except from the mouth of your Rabbi. Says Rashi, says Bidmia. Amalehem, his kaktuni loimer davar. You've just inspired me and got me to think of the following thing to say. Shoshamat mipi rabboisi miyomai. I've never said something. Shoshamati mipi rabboisi miyomai. I never heard something from the mouth of my Rebbe my whole life. In other words, every single thing that you will hear from me is only from my Rebbe. Loi kadamni adam beis medrash. No one ever beat me to get to the beis medrash. I was always the first one there. Loi shanti beis medrash lo shinas kevel lo shinas arai. Even though I was always there, I never slept in the beis medrash, even a temporary one. Loi hanachni adam beis medrash ve'atzasi. No one ever went to the beis medrash, and when I left, in my entire life, I never said sichas chulin. I never said something which was of no value. And I never said something which I did not hear from my Rebbe ever. Rashi says sichas chulin dibri havoy schoik. So things which are just total foolishness. These are things that he's never said. Okay. Amr Lama Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Miyamav, in all of his days, lo sach sichas chulin. He never said sichas chulin. Lo yiholach dalad amos lo tayr lo tefillin. He was never found without a sefer, without a Torah, without learning Torah, without tefillin. Lo yikadma adam beis medrash. No one ever beat him to the shul. Lo yashem beis medrash lo shinas kevel lo shinas arai. Very similar to Rabbi Eliezer. We'll hear him the voice of a tenachos. Even though his mind was constantly racing with Torah thoughts, when he would go into a dirty alleyway, he would be able to control his mind to stop learning. You never found him just sitting around not doing anything. He was always learning. He did not, students wouldn't hold the door for him, but he would do it himself. Also, he would only say things which he heard from his Rebbe. This we've had in Succah. He never said, okay, it's time to stop learning, to leave the beis medrash, except for two exceptions. Yomi Kippurim, Pesach, because you want to make sure that his children will be able to sleep, take a nap before Pesach, so they'll be awake at the Seder. Erev Yom Kippur, obviously it's a mitzvah to eat. Rabbi Eliezer, which was Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's student, did the same thing, which is, as we mentioned above. Tanubah, Shmainim Talmidim Hayu Lo Hillel Hazakin. Hillel Hazakin had 80 students. 30 were so great that they would be able to mekabel pnei shechina just like Moshe. 30 of them were able to stop the moon, and Esrim Beinanim, or 20 are Beinanim. Pshat Beinanim either means they're between those two different categories, or they're just down there Beinanim, average people. Godosh B'Kulam, the greatest, which we'll see what was so great about him in a second, Yonasan ben Uziel. Katan Shibakul Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai. We just talked about the great Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, who is the student of Hillel Zaken, and he was the lowest of the 80, which again is very fascinating. He be the lowest in Chachma. That doesn't mean necessarily you're going to end up being the least successful. Because of all the different miles that we showed, even if, let's say, he wasn't the strongest student academically, but if he is the most motivated, he never left the base medrash. He was always learning Torah. He always worked hard. Such a person will end up becoming on the top. Amulav Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Shalaniach Mikra Mishnah Gemara. He had all Torah knowledge. He had Chumash, Mishnah, Gemara, Halachos, Gadais, Dekduki Torah, Dekduki Seifrim, Kalam the Chamarim. He was able to knew every Kavah Chaimer imaginable. Gzer Shavais, as we know, things you can learn from Gzer Shava. Tekufos, the Cheshvan of the sun and the moon, all those calculations. The Gematrios, Sichas Malchi Ashares, the conversations of angels, Sichas Shadim, Sichas the column of date palm trees. And Rashi says, Luyadana Mahi. I don't know what that. I don't even know what that is. Which just shows the greatness of Rashi. We could have just skipped that line because no, I don't know what it means, and I'll let you know I don't know what it means. Mashal is Kaivsin, Mashal is Shualin, different parables that they would use for launders and for foxes, all these different stories to teach messages. Rashi has a different shot. Davar Gadol, Davar Katan. There was something which was amazing, a great thing, and a smaller thing. Davar Gadol, Masa Merkava. He knew the Masa Merkava of Sefer Yecheskel, which, as brought down in the Sechtas Chagiga, in the second parak, one of the most difficult things to master, and something which not necessarily should be taught, certainly not to many. Davar Katan, Havius Nebai Barava. All the different questions of Abai and Rava, which of course comprises most of Shas, a lot of Shas I should say, he knew that. That his storehouse was filled with Torah knowledge. Now if when it comes to Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, who was the lowest of the 80, can you imagine the greatness of Yonasan ben Uziel, the top? So Yonasan ben Uziel, when he was learning Torah, any bird that flew above his head immediately got burned just because of the power of the words of Torah. So now we continue with the next Mishnah, which we kind of did a little bit in the beginning of the first parak. So the question is a Sukkah Gedola, a Sukkah Katana? So it says Misha Haya, so we said over there, the diak was, it must be that it's a Sukkah Gedola, and the question is, are we concerned the person may go after his table, and he may end up eating in his house? The fact that it says Pasal and Kosher is talking about the Sukkah Katana. Is it Rosh of Rubo 6x6 Tfachim, or also Shulchano, which makes it 7x7? Amrul and Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. Lukacha Yemaisa, the story. Shahalchos Zikni Beis Shammai Zikni Beis Hillel Vakir as Rabbi Yochanan ben Horchanas. They went to visit him. Umatsu Shah Yoshe Barosh B'Sukkah V'Shulchan B'Sukkah. He was doing this very thing. Now, V'lo Amrul Davar. Apparently, Beis Shammai didn't say anything. If the Zikni Beis Shammai didn't say anything, it must be that they were chayzer to the Shita Beis Hillel. Amrul Beis Shammai Mishum Raya Afheim Amrulo. Even they said, if this is how you're accustomed, you'll never fulfill the obligation of being in a sukkah. And then the Mishnah says, Nashim v'avanim b'katanim b'turim in a sukkah. Women, slaves, and children do not have a chiyuv in a sukkah, and a katan shenusach le'imo chayav a sukkah. However, when we're talking about the age of a katan who already no longer needs his mother, so he's already obligated to be in the sukkah. We'll discuss exactly what that determinant factor is. When is that time? Obviously, he's got to be a little bit old, which now, for some reason, the Mishnah tells us about a baby. Masavi Yelda Kalosa Shel Shammai Hazakin. So he came to the daughter-in-law of Shammai, Upiches Esamazeva. She opened up the roof of her house. And for the little baby in a crib, she made a sukkah, which again seems like a masalister, a contradiction. We'll see the Gemara ask that question. So Minad. So first the Gemara. How do we know this? The Tanur Banim Ezrach Ze Ezrach, that Ukhar is including everyone. So why is the Ha Ezrach with a Hay? So Haytis Anashim. The Hay is excluding women. Only the Bnei Yisrael sit in Sukkah, but not Ha Ezrach excludes the women. Now why is the Koil? Koil is a reboy. So Koil is Rabbis Katanim. Koil includes kids. So Amar Mar, Ha Ezrach Haytis Anashim. Ha Ezrach is coming to exclude women. So what does that mean? Remember the Ezrach Bein Nashim Bein Gabri Mashma. Without the hay, it would be mashma, men and women equally are chayav in a sukkah. Vasanya ha'ezrach, when it says ha'ezrach, marabos es anoshim, it includes women. Ha'ezrachiyos shechayavos be'inoi, that they're obligated in inoi Yom Kippurim. Alma ezrach gavri mashma, which is mashma ezrach means only men. If the pasuk ha'ezrach is l'rabbis nashim, so then without the hay, it's only men. So it's a contradiction. So Amar Rabba Hilchas Ninhu. The truth is, this is a halacha Sinai, Vasbachin Rabban Akroi, and the pasuk is just a smak to be on. So Hay Krava Hay Hilchas. Which one is the pasuk? Which is the halacha Sinai? The Su. Kra Lamali Hilchas Lamali. Why do you need a pasuk if you have a halacha Sinai? Succah mitzvah sasei shazman grama, v'chol mitzvah sasei shazman grama nashim paturos. We ask another question. If we know Sukkah is bound by time, it's a positive mitzvah, so we know in the Gemara and Masechtas Kedushin, the Chavtas tells us that when it comes to a time-bound positive mitzvah, women are patur. So why do you need a pasuk anyway to exclude them? Doesn't make any sense. Yom Kippurim, Rabbi Yehuda of Aram Nachman. This whole din of Inoi on Yom Kippur, L'chaira, is derived from a different drasha. What's that? Yomi Yehuda Marav, V'chein Tana Rabbi Shmuel, Amrkra, Isha, as we continue to Chav Chesem and Beis. That is, Hishava Kosev, Isha Chol Einshin Shabbatayra. They're included in all the punishments. And therefore, obviously, we know that they're going to be Mechoyev in Inoi Yom Kippurim. So Rabbi, the truth is Sukkah is a halach Moshe Sinai, the Itzdrach, but nonetheless we still need these psukim. Salkadat Achaninotation came to Duru, Madir Ishvi Isha, Sukkah Nami Isha Isha Kamash Mulan. So you would think, and this is a very interesting vart, you would think that maybe women will be mechuyev to have to be in a sukkah because of Teshuvah to Duru, because all year round you're with your wife. So now all of a sudden, on Sukkot, you're in the Sukkah, so she should also come with you in the Sukkah. Kamash Milan, which is an unbelievable vart. Some people will not sleep in a Sukkah so because I have to be with my wife. We see over here, Pumpaker. There was a Halamina that a woman would be mechuyev to have to be in a Sukkah because of Teshuvah Duru, so that she should go after her husband. Perhaps you can say that Kamash Milan is to say it the other way around. Rabbi Omer Israch is a different reason why you would think women are chayim in a sukkah. Women are obligated to eat matzah, so because they're also engaged in the whole story, so too they maybe have to sit in the sukkah. Kamash Milan. Okay, so let's stop for 1 second. Let's see question 3. Why need to pater women? So he said either because of Teshuvah came to Duru, you would think they're chayav, or because of the Gzer Sheva Chamisha, just like matzah. Now the Hashdi the Amrit Sukkah Hilchasa, Now that we've established that sukkahs and women being potter from sukkah is actually lachmash mesinas ekra lomali. So why do we need the word ha'ezrach? What's that coming to exclude or include? Well, Rabbi says a gerin. It's coming to include converts. Sagdat ramina ha'ezrach miYisrael u'merachman v'lo a gerin kamash malon. You would think it's coming to exclude gerin kamash malon. Ha'ezrach is coming to include them. Yom Kippurim Rabbi Yehuda Marav Nafta. So when it comes to the question, let's go back to Yom Kippur. L'chayra, we already learned, as we saw over here, that based on the pasuk Isha Isha, that Hishva Kasav Isha Chol Anshin Shivatayra. So that should be enough. You're right. That pasuk L'chol Anshin Shivatayra, that is anything which is a punishment, which is Inui Yom Kippur. You're not allowed to eat on Yom Kippur. However, Taisus Inui, in which the Gemara at the end, if you recall, the end of the Succah Yoma said that it's only the Etzema Yom Hazeh is there an Isser Kairos. However, Taisus Inui, there is no Onish of Kares if a person, for whatever reason, they decide to eat 20 minutes before the fast is over. It's already past Shkia. So, in that case, you would think maybe women are exempt. Since there is exclusion from punishment, since we're lenient anyway that there's no einish for taisus inui, so you would think maybe that women will be potter completely. Fine. So we see question 4. L'mai asa ribo ha'ezrach defsiv v'hei l'gabi sukkah l'gabi Yom Kippur. Defsiv. Yeah. So by sukkah is l'rabos as a gerim, and Yom Kippur is l'rabos noshim l'taisus inui. Vayter. Omar kol. So what is the word kol coming to include? L'rabos as a katan to include kids. First of all, the Tanah noshim l'adam katan b'tum in a sukkah. Kids are potter from a sukkah. If they didn't reach the age of chinuch, they're potter. However, if they reach the age of chinuch, they're chayiv. So the pasuk is telling you that they're chayiv. Katan shegil chinuch midrabbananu, midrabbanan across smachtim b'almahu. The word kol is really in a smachtim b'alma. The truth is, they're not mechuyev. Obviously, katan's not mechuyev in a sukkah midaraisa, but once they reach the age of chinuch, at least they're mechuyev midrabbanan. Katan shen sarcha imo. So hechi dami katan shen sarcha imo. What is that stage? So Amir de Rabbi Yanai kol shnifta ve'in imoy mikan chasoi. Anytime that a person, a baby or a young boy or girl relieves themselves, a boy I should say, and his mother does not wipe him, which means he's independent. Shimon Omer kol shinayer mishanasa, and who wakes up from his sleep, ninukar ima. And maybe I shouldn't read the word ima. So Gedol Nami Karu. Even an old kid, they'll end up waking up and start crying. And calling for his mom. Doesn't keep calling mother, mother, mother. So this, according to some, is around 4 to 5 years of age. Masa the Yelda Kalos, there's Masa Lister. It's a little baby. The baby's not within the age of Chinuch. Chaser Metzvah HaKatani. Shamay Machmir, he went strict. We find the story Upachas Esamazeva that he removed the pitch, and he put stach over the bed because of the katan. So obviously it didn't say Leishav Sukkah necessarily, but there's nothing wrong with a little kid. You bring your 6-month-old baby into a sukkah. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's not a chiyuv, it's just a chumrah b'alma, and that was something which was allowed to be done. Okay, we're going to stop. We'll stop there, and let's see a couple more questions. We'll stop at that Mishnah. TA 8. Nope, that's going to be in tomorrow's daf. TB 10. Hayash Sukkah v'Yodei Geshamim Adkan.